Funky Friday. From their funky hidden headquarters, your hosts, Keith and Gary. Not Jerry.
I'm pouring a drink.
Stop that! It's silly. Very silly indeed.
Silly indeed. Welcome to TGIF. It is Friday, and for the first time in a long time, Tom is right. It's Keith and Gary. So Keith is back, and he is in black. He's back in black. And we're here to talk about some nerdy nerd stuff here on TGIF. Hi, Scribe. Who all is here? Is anybody showing up? Who's all here?
Yes, Anima and Dragon Ruse. And of course, Benny. And
Hello,
T-shirt historian. So we're good.
Sehr good. Yeah, sehr good. So happy Friday, everybody. It's been an interesting week. I am still very unhappy with this situation with my camera. But it'll get resolved this week. So, Keith, how are you? You're still on the way home. I heard your blinkers.
Yeah. It could be worse. You could own Disney stock.
Some of our friends do, like Mexican Iron Man own some.
Since the last time I've been on, things have not gotten better for Disney. And it's getting close to the point where I'm just saying, just fire everybody and start all over again. I mean, come on. Anybody else catching the irony here? We're getting ready to celebrate 100 years, and Bob Iger has managed to drive the entire company into the ground, and that's saying something considering what Michael Eisner attempted to do. So,
It's bad when Bob Iger makes you miss Michael Eisner.
Yeah, and Michael Eisner was slightly crazy.
It's very true, though.
This is just not going to get any better unless something major happens. And again, I don't say firing people lightly, but if you're someone who owns stock, you got to understand, you got a lot of employees working for Disney that just seem to think that money grows on trees.
Well,
I mean, they act like 12-year-olds.
Yep.
Now, imagine being George and being paid $2 billion in stock. Ouch.
Yeah.
That cannot be funny.
Oh, it's not funny. It's not funny for anybody that owns stock. And the thing, what really makes it worse is, I guarantee you, 3 years ago, when the deal was made to buy out the rest of Hulu, that Iger was planning on trying to pay off some of that with Disney stock. I mean, oh my goodness, this is just bad. We are literally watching a major corporation self-destruct live.
It's true. And by the way, I have a video queued up that I wanted to share today from Valiant Renegade. I wish that our schedules didn't conflict, because I'd love to get him and Culture Casino on the show. But they're in the middle of stuff at the same time as us on Fridays, which I am considering, if it's going to be convenient for you in particular, Keith, bumping us to the same time as our either Wednesday show or our Saturday show, which is at 2:00 on Saturdays, or Wednesday 3:00. How does that sound for you? Because I'm getting fed up with this less than an hour between shows. It's just draining.
Yeah, it's a little rough.
It's because there's always something inevitably happening that I got to deal with, that I got to put off until later in the day, because I there's not enough time to deal with it. But what are your thoughts on that, Keith?
I'd be willing to try something, especially if it's going to get us more views.
Let's talk. Well, I don't know if that's going to help, because no matter how we try, I loved that conversation I had with Tom. It cracks me up to this day where I'm talking to him. I said, yeah, because I don't want to compete with you in the morning or with Friday Night Tights. And he goes, no, you go ahead and do whatever time you want to do. And I'm like, no. He says, no, don't worry about the interfering with the views. And I went, because it's not going to affect yours, it's going to affect ours. Of course, yes. You're not worried about it. I love Tom.
Well, we still got the lovely Tom. People at KGRA, so.
Yeah, we have, right now, listening to us right now, between 4,000 and 5,000 listeners, and we appreciate that. We love you guys. And I'm going to hit a point here that if KGRA does not get that set up yet for call-ins, I'm going to get a separate phone number just for call-ins, so people can actually call into the show. And
set up your own bat phone.
Yeah, my own bat phone. What I'll do is I just set my phone on the microphone so you can hear the person as I'm hearing them. So you'd be able to hear it. It's I've tested it and it works. So, but that's some of the things I want to do, because I really think that some of our KGRA listeners, if they got something to say, I want to hear what they have to say.
Yeah.
And if they're interested in any of the subjects we're talking about, if they want us to talk about something in particular, I want to know. Yeah. I like to know these things because I like to learn. Learning is important. Learning is fundamental. So let's see.
Shanatsky's here.
Hey, Shanatsky. Let me pull this up real quick.
Oh. Yes, the true token of appreciation from Gary to Shanatsky. No, I have it just for him. Should I?
Yeah.
Okay. Oh, man. And there you have it. For our radio audience, it's a banner specially crafted for him by our fearless leader. So, anyone?
Yeah, well,
want to talk with me?
I'm waiting to see which Valiant Renegade, because the one I'm thinking, is it the KK one? Oh, this is. Well,
sweet. I had to wait because for some reason I had multiple tabs open on different browsers, and I could hear Martin talking double talk. It was like it was repeating everything he said, and I'm like, I have YouTube open somewhere and I need to close it. So I was dealing with that. But anyway, this is Valiant Renegade from yesterday. And what Spielberg did here, it's the second time he has absolutely shit on Kathleen Kennedy.
This is classic, man.
Indiana Jones and the Dial of Destiny had its premiere in Los Angeles last night, and on board were all of the folks that you would expect for such an A-list event. What you're about to see is a recording of last night's event, and in one of the most hilarious moments I've ever seen, with quite a heavy dose of Schadenfreude, well, Steven Spielberg completely forgets about Kathleen Kennedy. Renegade Online. Well, folks, welcome back. Another great day here at Valiant Renegade. It's good to see everybody out there once again. And if you are like one of the many folks watching this video, not yet subscribed to this channel, please take a moment and turn that little red subscribe button to gray. Hit that like button, hit that notification bell.
Best camera of all of our shows in our network. I swear to God, he has the best freaking camera.
Well, share this sucker out on the social medias. And of course, please do leave a comment before you head out the door today. Obviously, Kathleen Kennedy has been a topic of conversation here on Valiant Renegade, along with many other channels on YouTube for quite some time. Her collapse of the Star Wars franchise has been something to behold, at least something to be terrified of. And we've talked many times over the years about how Kathleen Kennedy, when she was working way back in the day with folks like the ones you see on stage here, her husband, Frank Marshall, on the far left, Kathy next to him, and then, of course, the great George Lucas. Next to him, Steven Spielberg, And then finally off to the right, you see Harrison Ford. See, when Kathleen Kennedy worked with people like Spielberg and Lucas and Richard Donner and Robert Zemeckis and many of these other great, talented, creative minds throughout Hollywood's history, well, the movies have turned out great. But of course, when Kathleen Kennedy was given the keys to the Lucasfilm kingdom and she was running the show and she was in charge of making all the ultimate creative decisions, well, we see how that turned out. Steven Spielberg previously has made statements about Kathleen Kennedy where, let's say, he didn't pull too many punches, effectively saying during an interview that Kathleen Kennedy was always the one in the room that came up with the worst ideas. I'm paraphrasing, but not by terribly much. And this was from last night at the Los Angeles premiere of Indiana Jones and the Dial of Destiny. And Steven Spielberg had a few kind words for 3 key people without whom he said Indiana Jones would not exist.
Okay, one last thing. There are 3 indispensable people without whom none of us would be here tonight.
3 people.
And that starts with the person who created Indiana Jones, George Lucas. The person who is Indiana Jones, Harrison Ford. And the person who...
Now, as you may have noticed, Kathleen Kennedy was applauding the introduction of both Mr. Lucas and Mr. Ford, but Steven Spielberg had one person left to thank.
George Lucas.
Kathy claps.
The person who is Indiana Jones, Harrison Ford.
Kathy claps.
And the person who is the glue to all 5 of these films.
The person who is the glue to all 5 of these films. Well, surely at this point, look at Kathy must be thinking, well, he's going to say my name. Yeah, she's been around since Raiders of the Lost Ark, and she's the only one other than Ford himself, really, and of course the person he's about to introduce, that have actually been there for each and every film. Now with this 5th one coming out under the Disney banner.
They gave us all of our rhythm and all of our melody, the great maestro, John Williams.
Whoa! She does not clap.
No applause. No applause from Kathy. She stands there. Frank is already running out the door. Frank Marshall, let's go, let's leave.
Oh,
now look, Spielberg could have said the 4 people. He could have said 5. He could have gone down a list here. He could have included Kathleen Kennedy in that thanks, that personal thanks. She's standing 5 feet away from him. It's not as if he doesn't know that she's right there. Steven Spielberg just decided to ignore Kathleen Kennedy completely for Indiana Jones.
Rhythm and all of our melody, the great maestro, John Williams.
Just nothing. Nothing. Kathy is standing there dead. And now she's, okay, let's just walk George off. Frank's gone. There's a lot of people out there that might assume that this was just a big nothing burger, and I can completely understand that. But the fact is, having known already what Steven Spielberg has commented on Kathleen Kennedy's effective creative abilities in the past, it seems to me that that was more deliberate on Steven Spielberg's part than maybe just a mere oversight. I've never gotten the impression that Spielberg has much respect for Kathleen Kennedy's professional prowess in Hollywood, although she does obviously get quite a bit of accolades. But again, as I stated before, it's one of those things that she's enjoyed more because she has attached herself to very, very talented writers and directors.
And Valiant's going into something that we've talked about before, Keith, with the fact that she's the kind of person that gets things done. She's a good gopher, because if you need something done, he can get that for you.
Apparently, she knows how to make crappy coffee.
Yeah. Yeah, I've heard that one too. The whole thing when she says, well, what if he doesn't get the girl but gets the dog?
You know, this is part and parcel of what the problem has been with what, Gary, you and I have been calling corporate entertainment, okay? Over the last 10 to 12 years. You have people who somehow are under the delusion that because they're executives, because they know all about business and money, that somehow magically imbues them with the ability to also be able to, know how to write stories and entertain the masses. It doesn't equate. And Kathleen Kennedy, for all those people who like to talk about how we're mean to her, let me say what I've been saying since the beginning. I have nothing but awe and respect for her career as a producer. Okay? But as a creative, she is a complete failure. She does not have that ability. I'm sorry. And a lot of these people, we saw a lot of them over at Warner Brothers. There's a lot of them now that seem to have infected Marvel and other places, especially Netflix, who just seem to be I can't even begin to tell you how badly these people have been for the business and the brand of Hollywood. But Kathleen Kennedy alone, when you stop to really think about how much money she has literally wasted, and you got people trying to defend her, people that will talk stuff about us going, well, we hate her, we're haters, blah, 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 blah. And you bring up things like, okay, well, let's talk about Solo. That film would have made money if they didn't have to refilm the entire movie again. Don't get us started on the rise of Palpatine. Skywalker.
No, I get you.
Minimum $500 million. Minimum is what they spent on that.
Well, you got to stop and think that this seems to be her MO, having to reshoot things.
But she's not the only one. Kevin Feige really has gotten on my crap list over the last 2 years.
Finally.
And I know, Gary was right when it came to, but it just seems like you cannot continue to refine and scrapbook stuff, trying to find an ending, and expect what you end up creating is going to be any good.
Right.
You can't do that. And again, there's a lot of you out there who continue to talk.
And he's talking to you, Shanatsky.
There's a lot of you out there that continue to talk stuff about George Lucas. I don't know about you, but George Lucas never effed up that bad. He never wasted money at this point.
Yeah, because minimum prequels. So let's just talk this for a second, because I want to qualify what you're saying. Because when you go back and look at the prequels, for all my personal complaints about it, I still enjoyed them. Mm-hmm. They were still good. I liked the characters. I think he made really bad mistakes with going too young with Anakin. I think that what's his name, whatever his name is,
Hayden Christensen,
should have played him all three. That the echo, because he likes circular storytelling. Remember that he said that. Mm-hmm. He likes circular storytelling, where something that happens in one story happens again later. Well, what's the one common thing that should have been between Luke and Anakin was age. That echo of his being too old. That's what they should have done. He should have been like a prepubescent teen. I think between 12 and 13 would have been the perfect age. And I think that Hayden was young enough looking, they could have pulled it off. Okay. So that was a mistake. Another mistake that was made was the bad writing. And when I say bad writing, dialogue. The dialogue was really stilted and rough. The stories
he should have gone out and gotten people. He should have done what he did with the first trilogy and found other people to come in and clean it up.
But it would have been really easy. Here's what was in his head. I finally have enough money and power to make my Star Wars. is what he was.
And you know what? Technically, he's right. I'll tell you this much. All you people that love to give George Lucas a hard time and praise Kathleen Kennedy, these are his films. He is the creator. No amount of money she spends, no speeches, no how much she wants to help certain people out, none of that wipes that part away. Nope. None of it.
But I do want to point out something. This was his downfall.
His downfall was not giving us the Jar Jar Sith Lord.
I think creating Jar Jar was his first mistake. Doing the Metachlorians was dumb.
Yeah.
It was unnecessary. Because it was understood that Force wielders can read other people of the Force, including how strong they are. So it was already established in the writing, in the storytelling, in the films. So going back, though, Jar Jar was a mistake. He approached things incorrectly by not bringing in other people like Kasdan to work with him on the scripts. But more importantly was he forgot that Star Wars isn't really his. It's shared between him and the fan base. That your fan base...
I get that.
I takes
agree.
Ownership. And yeah, because you and I have talked about this before. And this is the kind of hubris that broke Sir Arthur Conan Doyle down. Because he's the first person to suffer from it publicly. Remember that. He is the first creator to suffer publicly for doing something that pissed the fans off. And that was when he killed Sherlock Holmes at the incident Reichenbach Falls. And he, I guarantee you he had death threats. Because, you know,
they would have been polite.
Everybody wants to think the Limey are polite. They're not polite. They just sound polite. They did not tolerate that shit. They wrote into the Strand constantly, demanding that he be fired, that he never write again unless he brings Holmes back. And it took him a handful of years, but he eventually realized, my God, I don't own Sherlock Holmes. They do. They have all the power. And the fan base, that's what Hollywood doesn't like, is the fan base has the power. And we, you know, and this is the funny part. You and I have talked about this too. It's like, well, there's all those toxic fans that did the damage to our movie. That's why it failed. Well, that sounds to me like you don't know what you're fucking doing and you kowtow to the wrong fucking people.
Well, they wanted people to comply with what they've invented. People who talk like that, you got to understand that that is a corporate mentality thing. The mistake is that they think everything is fixable if you just take a few pieces here and a few pieces there and replace it with something that either is similar to or is along the... I mean, that's what Marvel started doing. And notice how their films have suffered. That whole mentality that Kevin Feige came up with called scrapbooking really is the mentality of the corporate entertainment culture. That if you've got someone that may not be the originator, or if you've got something that is similar to what you are replacing, that will do just as well as the thing you're replacing. No, that never works. It never works. They also
have
like
that mindset, though, Keith, of what do they call that? There's no such thing as bad press. And you asked Jonathan Majors that.
No, jeez.
Ask Gary Glitter that. Hey, you think it was bad press when you got caught and arrested over in the Philippines for diddling young man boys or girl boys? You know, yeah, there's bad press. You can get it. And Marvel thinks that they're not going to suffer to it. But you look at Kathleen Kennedy now. Bob Iger knows he screwed up. He's trying to fix it somehow, but he's not going to fix it. It's a mess. It's an absolute mess over at Disney that includes every property they have. They destroyed Power Rangers. They got to build that back up again.
Well, they don't own it anymore.
Damage.
Saban bought it back.
Well, I know Saban bought it back, and they got to build it back up. That's what I meant. They got to build it back up.
And that's what they're doing.
Because of what Disney did.
You literally have a corporation that 10 years ago was pretty much the it. I mean, it was them and Warner Brothers fighting it out. And fans were eating it up. 10 years later, and Disney is it's on the verge of at least a creative collapse, if not outright financial collapse.
Yeah,
of a certain extent. Look, I am not sitting here saying that Disney's going to go broke. Okay, they've already covered that.
Mexican Iron Man has said they're borderline right now with only $275 million.
Well, to be able to make payroll, that means they have to sell a few. I mean, they're not exactly, bad off financially.
Well, they're property rich. They're still property rich. Yeah. There's no question. They may not have liquid assets, but they have property. And whether it's land or IP, it doesn't matter. They own land, they own IP. They could sell off a lot of that land because, Dirty Baseball was played by Walt Disney himself at least once. And you know what that was, right, Keith, what he did?
No,
He went all that land in Florida, and Florida said, we're not selling it to you. We're not going to sell it to you. Swampland, come on, sell it to me. We're not going to sell it to you. We're not going to sell all that land to one entity. He says, okay. And he quietly went off and created a bunch of shell companies. And each one of those shell companies went out and bought that property one by one. And then he consumed those companies into Disney. It was dirty, underhanded. I think by today's standard, he might have even gone to jail for it, what he did. But it's very shrewd. And it's the only time I've ever read where Disney did something I felt was unethical, Walt himself. Walt was very much about the fan base, very much about the people. He wanted to make his parks affordable. He wanted it to be a place that anybody could go to and just live a fantasy, right? That is not Disney today. They have driven it into the ground, ruined it, Brian, ruined. They've ruined Disney. Disney is rotten on every level, from production to park.
And again, it's just, you got people living under the delusion, as I said before, that their status within that company of being an executive basically magically gives them the ability to be great directors, great writers, and other things. That is the problem with CBS. I mean, Paramount now.
Right.
That has been the problem with Warner Brothers up until Zaslav came along. And that has been the problem for even Netflix. Your job in being an executive is mainly to make sure that the wheels are greased enough to allow the money and paperwork to flow through so that your company can make money. Nowhere in any job description you have has anything to do with you being able to get behind a camera or sit down and be able to write scripts. I mean, it boggles the mind. You can be a great architect, but that does not mean that you can go to the nearest hospital and start performing surgeries. You can be a great politician, but you can't build bridges.
Nope.
You can't fix cars.
Shanatsky says the industry got lazy, to which I actually, it is worse than lazy. They are actively going backwards in everything they do. It's beyond lazy.
That's because everything's turned upside down because of ESG.
Thank you, Stranger Things, for turning everything upside down.
Yeah, but again, it's not just that. This is something that has been on the cusp for a lot of years. And there are a lot of executives that aren't doing it because of that. They're doing it because it gives them extra power. They seem to be under this, and when you try to call them on it, they go, well, back in the heyday of Hollywood, you had certain powerful people. And I would usually stop a person from saying that. It's like, obviously, you don't understand history.
Absolutely. And by the way, we do have a couple things we got to do real quick, Martin. Yeah. Pop the first one up. Mr. Tickle Trunk has been a member for 19 months. He's got the PCM Giggity. For you, sir, you get this great promo for tomorrow. This is our Batman 89 special episode of Tom and Jerry tomorrow. Boom.
Stop the press. Who is that?
Join Pop Culture Minefield this Saturday as Tom and Jerry do Batman 89. Join us the same bat time, same bat channel.
There you go. Oh, where'd Keith go? We lost Keith.
Oh. And we have a super chat from...
we have a super chat from Mr. Tickle Trunk for $2.20 Canadian. Eat me, Gary. Shout out. See, Keith's not here now. We lost connection. Save this for when he gets back. I'm sorry, Mr. Tickle Trunk. We're going to put that back down in the pocket and save it for when Keith gets back because Keith wants to see that. He likes it when people shit on me in favor of him.
Well, it's easy. He's lovable.
It's easy. Guys, the Beard's playing Disney princess in Disneyland is so effed up. It is. It's fucking ridiculous, dude. There's Keith.
Sorry, I got so angry that I tripped out of the room. I was so angry.
Let me fucking do it. I swear to God. You tell me to do things, I'm doing it, and then you're doing it when I'm trying to do it.
Well, wasn't me.
Martin told me before the show, you'll do it, boss. I don't want to do it. I've messed up all day.
and I keep doing it, as he would say.
And you keep doing it. I love you, Martin. I really do. You're awesome. I've been a member for like a week. Okay, pull up the super chat for Keith to see.
There it is.
There you go, Keith. This was for you. Eat me, Gary. Shout out to Keith. I don't know. Keith is really closely spelled to Queef.
Oh, jeez.
I'm just saying. And this one goes out for that thank you. And also at the same time, if Zax is here.
Hey, fuck you, Kyle.
I love that. And you get this one too.
Dave and Matthew, what is it now? For God's sake, no one's smoking, okay? But nothing! You know what we need around here is an anti-whining ordinance. So just sip your sniffling little lip and all your skinny ass down.
I miss Phil Hartman.
I do miss Phil Hartman so much.
He was a king of so much, and he was taken away from us way too soon. Why do I hate Keith? Guru? Martin Doss kicked me out of the show.
Anyway, Keith, so...
Yeah, are you home yet?
I'm home.
When are we going to see you on camera again? People want to see you.
I hope soon if I can get the computer to cooperate. My PC is just sitting there and it's not doing very much.
It is. Why would you think it's a Buffy show?
Oh.
Yeah, Buffy is mentioned because that's what we're going to get into. Is Keith wants to talk about 3 things that Disney could do right now and turn things around for them.
Well, let's just get into it right now. Look.
Well, I mean, Lady V fucking put women always pushing shit. Women always pushing shit.
Changing we have
the
a
conversation. Women changing the conversation to fit their needs. That's Lady V right here. There you go. Lady V pushing the conversation to meet her needs. All right, there you go, lady. We're going to change the conversation to meet your needs. Are you happy now?
First of all, let me just say thank you for being someone that is watching our show, Lady V.
Don't suck up to him, Keith.
I'm not sucking. I'm not sucking. Trust me. Trust me. But
they know if I was sucking.
Let me explain why we had all that stuff up there and why we put that up there. It's my fault, really. From a discussion that I had with Gary about Disney, the thing that Disney's been attempting to do is try to find a creative way of reversing their current dire situation.
Mm-hmm.
If you're a corporation that is experiencing some of the things that they are, one would think that you would go through all of the IPs, intellectual properties that you own, and try to figure out a way of at least finding a creative solution.
That would be logical.
That would be logical. So let's take a look at what they own. In the case of two of the properties that we are talking about, one being the Orville and the other one being Buffy, I don't think anybody here or anywhere else has reported any current project or plans for the Buffy IP or the Orville at this point. I haven't heard anything. Have you heard anything? Has anybody on this panel heard anything with that? None of us have. So over the last 15 to 20 years, there have been attempts to reboot Buffy, race swap Buffy, bring Buffy back either as an animated cartoon. I mean, all sorts of things. And given the way things are today, one would think that out of all the IPs they own, Buffy would just be it. Because it seems to basically check all the boxes. And for some reason, it just sits there. They have done squat with it. Nothing. Now, Lady V, you strike me as someone that might be a Buffy fan. And chances are, there's probably quite a few Buffy fans that are listening to us right now.
I like the original movie.
And see, there's Buffy fans all throughout the industry, I would like to say. Even people who are currently doing things that a lot of us fans may not like have stated they're Buffy fans. So this is something that is well known. But Disney has no plans at all for anything related to Buffy. Not that they've shared with me, or at least any member of our current panel. But it would seem logical that... Oh, go ahead.
Oh, so I must have got left off that mailing list.
Yeah.
I think I have too.
One thing Keith and I both do, Keith is a trades guy. He reads a lot of the news and information, and we don't have insiders. I don't really want insiders. I don't want to get into that. What I like to do, and you and I have always done this, and it's what you and I love doing together when we hang out, is we like to discern and start reading the information and then trying to understand the information and break it down.
Basically, what fans do when they're at conventions.
And that's why you and I are so damned accurate. We don't rely on insiders. We simply read what's going on, read people, and you and I have been very accurate with our predictions because of that.
It's safe to say. It's safe to say that. Hello. It's safe to say that there doesn't seem to be any real plans now. Look, I don't really need to take any kind of informal, type of poll to know that almost every person here would at least be interested if a new Buffy project were to arise. Now, of the people that would be interested, depending on how they decided to do it, you're either going to get a lot of people that are interested and, really looking forward to it, or you're going to lose half your audience if they go with the idea of just race swapping Buffy and going forward. My thought is why not just bring in all the fans and continue the universe by coming up with a kind of sequel series set within the Buffy universe? Because there's no law that says that you have to have all these characters again. That you cannot, there's no reason to say that you shouldn't, or at least not have Buffy and Giles and Willow. There's no rule that says that you have to use them in everything. And my belief is that you can expand the universe and keep all of the actors that originally played those parts as possible cameos in whatever you decide to do. I've always believed in expanding the universe and trying to find ways of exploring other aspects that were only hinted at in both Buffy and Angel. And again, given the current sensibilities in Hollywood, can anybody explain to me why it would make sense to race swap Buffy when at the end of her series, you had young women of all racial backgrounds and physical makes and becoming potentials anyway, actually becoming slayers? Why would you have to do that? So, to me, it's leaving money on the table. Seriously, it's leaving money on the table. Everybody connected to the original Buffy series is still alive. You figure out a way of creating some kind of a spinoff or a series that continues within that. I guarantee you, if you at least had a few Buffy veterans writing on your show, and you were something that wasn't trying to race swap anyone, but just continue on, and you did a really good job of creating some really good stories, I think you might be able to entice some of those actors and actresses to make cameo appearances on your show. And in doing that, you do not invalidate any of the books, comics, or episodes done up to this point. You, in fact, make them more valuable. Logic. That's really all we as fans want. We all want the same thing. And with the Orville, look, Jon Favreau has a contract with Disney. Currently, he's kind of in a bad spot with Star Wars. Why not turn him loose on the Orville? Because seriously, outside of Star Wars...
Well, he's already, a lot of people don't know that, but he's already a behind-the-scenes helper for that show.
Mm-hmm. Since the beginning, since the very beginning, he helped to develop that
Seth
show.
MacFarlane worked closely with him throughout. Him and what's his name, Michael Piller, or whatever his name is, the Star Trek guy.
Oh yeah. But that's the thing. You have one of the architects, and I can't name any Star Wars related thing he's got coming, but I will say this. If Disney wanted to, they could tomorrow announce that there is an all-new season of The Orville coming. And that if Seth MacFarlane decided that he didn't want to star on the show anymore and wanted to, do something more with the contract that he signed before everything got sold to Disney, where technically he's working for NBC Universal. He's got a nice contract with them, creative contract.
Yep.
If he wanted to bow out, now would be a good time for him to leave and to continue the adventures of the Orville with all of the at least remaining original actors under the creative direction of Jon Favreau. Is there anybody here that wouldn't be excited about that? In any way?
Matt Vader's not happy. No. And trust me, I know Matt Vader. He is yelling it into slow motion. No.
Matt, I feel you, man. I do. But I don't really see a way forward with the Orville because as of right now, it just seems like Disney's kind of
that last season was just so. It was chock full of problems in the writing, and I was like, I heard Seth really took his time writing. I'm like, it doesn't bode well for him as a writer. Whatever you want to take. What did Bush say? The fuck, Keith? I am fully wrecked. What? What is wrong with you, Bush? I love that guy, man. I do. I love Bush. Bush is great, man. But Jesus Christ, man, your use of language really blurs reality. If they touch the Orville now, they'd quint it further. Disney's greasy fingerprints were already in the previous season. The previous season was a big disappointment.
It's a waste of Norm Macdonald's talents.
Yep. By the way, I do want to show this, Keith. This is two friends of ours. This is, can you take the comment down? That is our good friend Eddie Ray Warren and Flash Dixon. Flash Dixon makes his own leather Batman costumes that are badass. They look classic, like something right out of the 30s. And Eddie is a spot-on makeup guy with his Joker. He does other ones, but his, because his other big thing is, of course, he's part of the, what do they call him? The Ghostbuster Incorporated? Is that it? Of the Ozarks. Yeah. And he's a big supporter of the Ghostbuster stuff. But his Joker is, now, Eddie, I love Eddie. He's such a sweetheart. And you've seen him. He's been on our show before when we were live at conventions. He always says I do a better Jack. But the fact is, very few people do Jack better than I can. But I do like his take on it because he's doing the Joker Jack. And but he likes it when I do the line. What is it? We're going to have the clip tomorrow. Where does he get those toys? Well, don't just stand there, Bob. Go ask him. So thank you, Eddie, for always supporting my impressions. Thanks, buddy. But we love Eddie and we love Flash. Flash has been on our show too. He's a close friend of Keith and mine. But his costumes are amazing. He's got the Bat family, literally, because his whole family dresses up. His daughter, I saw her as Batgirl one time, and I saw her as Robin one time. She did orange-haired Robin from Dark Knight Returns.
Kelly Carey.
Yeah, Kelly. Yeah, or Carey. What is it?
Carey Kelly.
Carey Kelly. But anyway, what was that after Cosmic Fury? After Cosmic Fury, that is, speaking of, it's also the final season of the Power Rangers to be produced in New Zealand. That they screwed up with that show. They really did. How can you have something that's ready-made and ready to go and screw it up like that?
Yeah.
They had a built-in audience and they lost the audience. And of course, it's the audience's fault. Because, we don't, fans don't want to eat your bullshit.
Mm-hmm.
It's on us. That's on us. Hollywood started this shit in the 20-teens of blaming fans.
Yep.
Oh, they've been doing it a little bit longer than that, but that's when it really became.
I don't think it was anything until we started seeing stuff with Star Wars when it got bought in 2012, and then we got Force Awakens. But still, it wasn't to any great degree until 2016, when a certain movie that shall remain unnamed, now I'm going to say it, Ghostbusters 2016, fuck them. And whatever that Feige, whatever his name is, him and Rosie O'Donnell too, whatever her name is, that was in the movie, opened their big mouths and started talking shit about male trolls living in their parents' basement. And it's like, they're ignoring close to 50% of the complaints were from women. The only ones that mattered that they dug into were the ones by males.
Yeah, well, that was done on purpose. It was done on purpose because it was made to
and did it help them? Did it work? Did it make the show successful? No, it made it worse because then they look like assholes. And I hope Feige never gets work again. I don't like him for what he did. Fuck it. By the way, it's like, yes, I liked what was that movie? Wedding Crashers? Was that the movie he did with the women?
No, that was Bridesmaids.
Bridesmaids. Yeah. Funny movie. Fuck him after that.
Well, he should have made that film like Bridesmaids. Instead of doing what they did,
I don't think
it would have been more within their wheelhouse.
It would have been within his wheelhouse, yes.
Yeah. Because what they did with
that a lot of the dialogue in that fucking movie was not scripted. And I'm like, where did they think this was going to go? Improving is good if it improvs within the confines of the script.
Mm-hmm.
It's got to fit within the storytelling process.
It worked with Iron Man because you were dealing with an actor in Robert Downey Jr. that had a natural.
But again, he improvised within the confines of what the story was. He never went outside the lines of what he was supposed to be doing, and and he laid it out there. In fact, because of him, he changed the ending of the movie, which was perfect because that's Iron Man. Tony Stark would go, "Yeah, I'm Iron Man, not afraid."
Ryan Reynolds is the only other person that has that ability. You know, you could let him rip on stuff, but he'll do it within the confines of what the story actually is.
Yeah.
You know, it's
true. Improvisers know how to do that.
That's right.
I don't know if Hemsworth is there yet, but I know he is really funny sometimes when he lets loose. Mm-hmm. He really is. And to be honest with you, I hated that movie. I bought it for Zoe, and then she hated it. My daughter, I bought her Ghostbusters 2016, the special edition, just for my daughter. I still own it because of her. She didn't want it. She didn't want it. She goes, "No, it's okay. You can keep it." I'm like, "But I bought this for you." She's, "No, re-gift it to somebody else." Nobody wants it. My daughter's a bitch sometimes, but I love her so much because I love her opinion. I give her shit all the time, you know that, but she really will come out with something and just blows me away. And I'm like, that's my girl. That's my girl. What's this? Wrong. I felt Sir Pat Stew was Professor X. Yeah. What's that about? Is somebody arguing about that? You guys have weird arguments in the chat.
Yeah.
You guys get into some weird tiffs in the chat.
I will say this. Again, as I stated before, Disney has all these IPs that they could be looking to in order to figure out another way of making some money, you know, by making fans happy. You know, something that Tom Cruise knows something about. Something that, you know, to a certain extent, even George Lucas knows a little something about.
Hey, Pop's in the house.
Hey, Pops, what's up, buddy? They make great coasters.
Yes.
You know, just to throw it in there, someone who did it right, look what they're doing with Babylon 5, man. I'm psyched about watching this new animated movie.
It isn't just something that they threw together. If you are a Babylon 5 fan and you've watched the entire series, you know that just from the trailer, where this story fits in and how it fits in with the entirety of the show. I mean, J. Michael Straczynski is doing it again. He's showing everybody how to get it done. There's ways to create new material that does not in any way contradict or interfere with something that you've already made.
Yeah, exactly. I see what you're talking about. No, I've gone on about Patrick Stewart. Patrick Stewart was born to play Professor X. It's like his genes were designed specifically for that. He's perfect casting. When it comes to, what was the other one he mentioned? Sam Jackson. Sam Jackson is a perfect version of that Nick Fury. Because the Nick Fury he's playing was based on him.
Yeah. So that's kind of...
So it was made for him.
Yeah, that's kind of cheating in a way.
But he's not the original Nick Fury at all. I don't think he's anything like him.
Who would you cast as the Nick Fury? You know,
Well,
the one that we grew up reading the comics.
David
Hasselhoff. Yeah, David Hasselhoff. You know.
Yeah. Yeah.
No. Especially when he's on the ground eating that Big Mac. Drunk.
Oh,
No, I got to tell you,
we all made
George
mistakes.
Clooney would be a good Nick Fury. Trying to think, guys with square jaws that have the
hold on,
whoa,
wait. Let's examine that just for a moment, and first give props to Gary. Everybody, give him props because that's a good call there. I mean, seriously.
Anybody
Did that
who
just
has
come to
seen
you, or?
the movie, was it Peacekeeper?
Peacemaker
with Nicole Kidman and him.
Yes.
Fuck, man, he's good at action. That was a really good film. I think that he would make for a really good Nick Fury if they went classic. The old World War II, Korean War, whatever, Vietnam War. I think he would be good. Alternate universe, original Nick Fury. I think the casting of what's his name in the Captain America First Avenger with the Derby was spot on.
Dum Dum was excellent, played by Neil McDonough.
I am a big fan of McDonough. I am a big fan of his. I am 1 degree of separation from him. I could contact Dale and Julia and have them connect me with him to have him on the show.
Oh, yes.
I would love to try that. But I'm so nervous because I don't do hero worship, but there's occasionally an actor who I revere. And he's one of those actors that I really revere. And it started all the way back with Angels in the Outfield, the remake Disney did, which was a good remake with Christopher Lloyd. And Neil McDonough was one of the outfielders in the movie. And he is so fucking good in that movie. He made that movie for me. And then he comes in as one of the, I think he's the helmsman in First Contact, Star Trek.
Oh, yeah, he was good.
Look what Chernowski says here.
I got to tell you, that's also a good suggestion. That is a really good suggestion. Kurt Russell, right now, not younger, right now, Kurt Russell, perfect. Grizzled, older, fucking tough as nails. I know how tough he is in real life. That guy's a badass. Actors, remember when they used to do the NBC did the their celebrity Olympic type thing? Remember that? Of the Stars, something of the Stars. He went in there. Battle of the Network Stars. He went in there, fucking took the fucking day. He kicked everybody's ass. He was not fucking around. He really worked. That guy was people don't know, he was pro level baseball player. That was what he was gearing to do before acting really took root as an adult. He was moving towards playing baseball pro because his dad owned a baseball team. And he loved playing baseball. And he was good enough to play pro. So, but yeah, Kurt Russell, I commend that one. That's a really good Nick Fury. He'd have to cut his hair, though. Military cut, like he did in Stargate. And there you go. Wow. There's a great fucking movie that people have forgotten. Everybody focuses on SG-1. I'm like, that original movie is really fucking good. It needs respect. Because that SG-1 wouldn't have happened. Without it. But who else? We got to go to commercial break.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. Yes. Let's come back to this. Do you got it queued up? You ready?
Yes, I'm ready. We are going now.
We got to go. Hi guys, this is Gary. Oh no.
Somebody else clicked on that after it started.
There we go. This is the commercial. It's in the TGIF studio. Hi guys, this is Gary from Pop Culture Minefield here on KGRA, and we're leaving for our first break. I hope we survive.
Did you know 75% of Americans are
Hey members, the new KGRA DB app is now available on iOS and Android devices. Gain on-demand access to any KGRA DB programming. Download any show directly to your mobile device to listen or watch on the go. Go to the App Store and search KGRA DB.
Oh, wow, we survived. Welcome back to the commercial break. Now for some more Pop Culture Minefield on KGRA. Oh, we lost Keith again.
He must be switching to his computer.
I hope so. It'd be good to see his face again.
Either that or we embarrassed him with our professionalism.
I am so lucky, though. You and I both are, that we have him in our lives. But what's exciting about this year is Martin has some news about visiting.
Yeah. So I didn't want to make
I don't want to make a big deal out of it.
Yeah, I wanted it to be.
It's too bad. Make a big deal, because I'm excited about it. I don't, you know me. I don't show excitement, but I actually do get excited about things. And we've got Anima that's talking about coming here this year, and finally getting to spend time together, not just virtually. And then you brought up that you were wanting to come up here, and that just it was exciting news, man.
Yes, it is. But I wanted to be a surprise.
For who?
For the audience. Make a communal stream, all of us in the same room.
And that's what we want to do. I think it'll be fun. Because Keith and I have talked about already doing TGIF and Saturday together. Finding a location, because we talked about doing it at either Game again. Oh, not Game. I'm sorry. 84.
Yeah, 1984.
Yeah, because I liked it when we recorded there. But I don't know if we're going to have the signal to do live. That's the problem. We got to make sure wherever we go, it's live. His goddaughter has a little shop down on not National. I'm sorry, Glenstone, and it's a nerd shop. And they've been bugging me for a while to come visiting them. And I'm like, here's our chance. We can actually shoot, go live from their place. Another one that got brought up is Matt's comic shop, comic and toy and game shop, Cosmic King. And so we're going to talk to all three and see if it's possible that we can rotate it or just find one location to do the shows live from Friday and Saturday. And that way we can actually be on camera together.
Because I'm only 2 hours away, so.
Yeah, and you can come down. Exactly. What about Bush? Bill let me in the back door and no one noticed. You're all pregnant now.
Yes,
did you hear that post?
That's his second breach before the show.
Yeah, but nobody cares about breaches anymore, right? No, because Shane Moore, my buddy Shane Moore, he's been on the show. Shane brought up the fact that he noticed that in some of the slash discussions, the gay discussions, that a man's booty is referred to as a bussy.
What?
Why? But then he says, well, wait a minute. If you're doing booty time with a girl, isn't it the same thing? Shouldn't it be called the same thing? And I'm like, fucking Shane Moore and his comments on Facebook fucking blows me away. The shit he says. Bussy. B-U-S-S-Y. Yeah. Hey, Keith is back.
Yep.
It sounds like you're on your computer.
Yeah, I was finally able to get that thing to work.
Oh, excellent. Excellent. Matt says, being on camera together is always better and dynamic. I don't know. I mean, it doesn't work for salty nerds.
What the fuck?
I love the salty nerds, man. I love that they get to hang out together. I'm jealous of it in some ways because I'm like, my God, we should be doing that. And I told you a long time ago, that's how we need to do the show, is like what Salty does. But, I don't want to replicate what Salty does. I want to do it our own way. But I love what Salty does. Salty has a great studio.
Bye, Lady B.
And by the way, Matt, I have not checked back. How are things going? Did you guys get any security? I hope you did. Because that's some bullshit that somebody broke into your place and did damage. But no, I love Salty Nerd. You guys know that, man. No, you can't break me, Boosh. No, I'm her boyfriend. If I can't break her, nobody can. So,
well,
no, and I like the way they do that. I like the way Rogan does it. In fact, one of the things I wanted to do is replicate what he did with his new studio. I really liked it. I wanted to do our own version of it with the logo and everything behind us. Ethan Hunt can't get in here. I barely remember how. Yeah. But Matt knows I love Matt. Matt's one of my favorite people on the planet. I like everybody on the Salty Nerds, but Matt's my buddy. I just I don't know, man. I have this great love for Matt Vader. Let's see, what is this? Gary broke me when we discussed the finale of House of Dragon. He broke all of us. Go watch that show. It was fucking hilarious. That's because my brain works in a different way than everybody else's, and I noticed something that other people maybe didn't notice, how fucked up something really was. And I caught something that it was very fucking racist. It was really racist. I'm like, what?
A little, yeah.
So are you there? Wait a minute. Is it me, or is it funny that they're called the blacks and they're all black actors? Are they telling us something? That was a messed up.
Wow.
I still love that show. What a great show, House of the Dragon. That's entertainment right there, my friend. So, Keith, where did we leave off? Because John was about to say something. What were we talking about before we went to break?
Let's see. Man.
John, do I need to go to the video? I'll go to the video.
I don't remember. I've slept. I've slept.
I will
since
turn
then.
this car around, mister.
I've slept since then. So,
guys, I'm going to go to the video and look what you were talking about when we had to go to commercial break.
Something about Buffy and then Orville and
we eventually got to make our way into the Superman and Lois news.
Yeah,
absolutely. Because I'm disturbed by this. Let them finish out. Do less episodes. Keep the fucking casting in the show. Do a movie for the final season, for God's sake. 2-hour movie.
No, they've already cut it down to 10 episodes.
8. I thought it was 8 episodes.
I thought it was 10.
No, I thought it was 8. I'm just like, make it 4, but make them really good 4. I fucking hate Warner Brothers. Sometimes just freaking messes with me.
Well, and I understand what they're going through, because again, just because they were quote unquote safely in the black when they announced how much money they had this year, that's not very much. There are a lot of things that still need to be fixed in order to get Warner Brothers as a whole back to profitability in a way that matches where they were before the people that had run Warner Brothers previously to Zaslav coming there, before they basically just, how does Gary put it, shit the bed.
Yeah.
So, and the CW as a whole channel is in trouble anyway. The entire formula that they use for those shows is just not good. It's just not good. It's not sustainable. And really, when you look at it, for me, what was really hard for me to really deal with is the fact that none of that stuff, at least as far as the Berlanti DC shows, none of that stuff's really made for North America. It's all made for outside the United States. So they use the IP to get those of us in North America involved, to get us to watch something, but it's not really aimed at us. And this whole thing of finding a cheap way of extending the life of a series to multiple seasons, like, doing little things to chip away at the cost every season. Comes down to, things like using lots and lots and lots of stock footage that they have built up over the seasons. Or as I think it was a script doctor who blew my mind with, as the seasons go on for every single show, you'll notice that the background actors start to disappear.
Yeah.
Yeah. Now, I want to say something, by the way. Before we went to commercial break, we were talking about Nick Fury. And you were about to suggest somebody. Pascal or something like that. I couldn't understand what you said. Because I'd been talking about Kurt Russell would be a perfect one. And then we brought up Stargate, and then we came back, and I said, who do you think would be a good Nick Fury? And then you piped up, John, with somebody, and I couldn't hear what it was. Was it Amy Pascal?
Remember.
I just heard a name that sounded like Pascal.
No, I wasn't. No.
Amy Winehouse. No. Oh, wait, she's dead. Zombie Amy Winehouse. No.
No. and
nobody talked. Nobody talked. This is all on John.
No. Okay. No pressure.
No pressure.
I don't remember. I don't think. Okay, I think the only person I brought up was Hasselhoff.
As a joke.
Yeah,
that was early on. But right at the end, I asked, who else do you think? And you started to say something. I said, let's hold it and talk about it after the break. Okay. Well, I wanted to make sure to give you a chance if there was somebody that you really wanted to suggest. Any other suggestions for Nick Fury? Old, original Nick Fury.
Yeah.
Frank Grillo. This one.
Who?
Frank Grillo. Grillo.
Wow. Yeah.
Too bad he was.
I saw somebody suggested Stallone, and I just don't see that one.
Thomas Jane.
Right. Thomas Jane's another actor that could pull it off. I guarantee he could.
Bush.
Mel Gibson, I don't think would do it. I don't think he wants to do comic movies.
Yeah, I would say Mel Gibson from 10 years ago. Definitely.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Bruce Campbell.
No, because he'd just be Bruce Campbell. It wouldn't be Nick Fury. It'd be Bruce Campbell saying typical Bruce Campbell shit. Yeah, you got something in your eye there.
Oh, look, my finger.
By the way, absolutely one of my favorite lines in all of the Evil Dead related films and shows is in Army of Darkness when the evil Ash is in the ground. He goes, hey, you got a little something in your eye there. He goes, huh? And then he dumps more dirt in his face. I laughed so hard at that in the theater.
Good. Bad. I'm the guy with the gun.
Good, bad. I'm the guy with the gun. Classic fucking movie. But
I've got like 8 different Bruce Campbell quotes from that movie alone.
I'm trying to think because I have I have actual favorite Bruce Campbell quotes. That's one of them. That one. I like the good, bad because they changed it in the director's cut, and I didn't like that. Yeah. I liked it the way it was. I like good. I'm good ass. You're good tissues ass. I like that scene. That was funny. Greetings, Pop Culture Minefield. Hi, at Penny. Oh, hello, Archmage. What is it?
Archmage Frey.
Archmage Frey. Wow, nice seeing you. I have a person. For those of you who are Bruce Campbell fans that haven't heard it, I knew Bruce. He introduced me to Josh, and I got to fuck with him one time. And it was funny. Harrison Ford would be a good Nick Fury. Again, I agree with the age thing. 10, 20 years ago. Not now. He's too old.
And that's the problem with the movie right now with Indiana Jones. The biggest problem, and again, this shows that Kathleen and all her people have no understanding of the character. George Lucas did come up with a way to determine Indiana Jones's age that made sense. Okay, Harrison Ford, the actor, is now he's approaching 80, if he's not 80 already. Okay, he is way too old to be playing this character for the movie and the setting. He is 20 years older than what he needed to be for this movie to have been a success. That's the reason why I kept saying, if you're going to make another Indiana Jones film, you better set it in the 80s. Set it in the 80s. He's the right age. Indiana Jones is 1 year younger than the actual date of where he exists.
Yep.
So in the first film, it's 1935, I think it is. So he's 34 years old.
Well, so part of the problem they have with the de-aging thing they do, we saw it with the Irishman. That when they de-age the face of De Niro when he goes out to curb stomp that store owner, but he still looks like a 70-year-old trying to curb stomp somebody.
He moves like a 70-year-old.
His arms are up and he's like stomping in a weird, awkward way that a man doesn't do unless he's fucking old and arthritic.
And it just shows that, I still don't understand why you could not have set this film in the 80s. I'm still trying to figure that out, given the age of the character and the fact that you wanted to move forward doing one more adventure. And if you go with the biography that Lucas himself set up for the character, we know when he's going to die. So he's definitely going to have a few more adventures before we finally see him in the very end. It would have made more sense to have set this film in the 80s.
Yeah.
I agree.
Considering how old he is.
I agree. I personally, look, there was a lot of James Bond in Indiana Jones. That's why Spielberg wanted to do it, because he wanted to do James Bond, but knew they wouldn't hire him because he's not English. So he did Indiana Jones instead. That was his James Bond. And with James Bond, you hit an age, you recast. Because there are backstories that I still want to see of him fighting the Nazis, working with the OSS, spying. And these all would make good films, but they spread them out so far that they couldn't do them. And I say, I was really happy with, what's his name? Chris Pratt being right for the part with the cheeky humor and the looks, because he's a good look. He's got a good Harrison Ford type look. I remember all the images where people digitally added his face to Indiana Jones, and it's like, he looks good with that fucking hat. Yeah, he looks the part, especially when he's got the stubble.
There's always that kid that didn't get cast for Solo. That guy that he looks like.
He played young Harrison Ford in The Age of Adeline.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know who you're talking about. He looks like Harrison Ford. He's got the mannerisms. He was another one. In fact, that's who we were all betting on. A lot of us would get Solo, and instead they hire this kid that doesn't look anything like him. He got some of the mannerisms down, but he doesn't sound or look like him at all.
Yeah, and he's shorter than Harrison Ford. But no, it's another example of someone who is a very good person as far as dealing with corporate stuff, but they have no real creative spark anywhere in their body. They just can't do anything. They're useless.
Yeah, and right now I wouldn't want anything, and I don't care if you disagree with me, Bush. I know I'm right, that they could have done that, and that's the way it was originally designed. Was that if they were going to, because there were tons of stories. That's why the comic was so popular. People wanted more Indiana Jones, and for some reason Lucas didn't do it, and they went a bridge too far with the Crystal Skull. And Spielberg's gut instincts should have worked, because they already did The Last Crusade as an apology for Temple of Doom. You remember that?
I like Temple of Doom, though.
Hold on, that doesn't matter if you liked it or not. I liked it. But Spielberg openly apologized for it because it was too dark, is what they said.
Yeah.
And I said, it was, because I could sit at home and I could listen to my soundtracks all day long with my kid Benjamin doing whatever he wanted to do until it got to Temple of Doom. Mola Ram, Pseudo Ram. Minute it started going into that shit, my kid starts crying in the living room. It's giving him nightmares. I shit you not, for real. So, yeah, they went really dark with it. It was also, a lot of people don't know this, it was a remake of Rudyard Kipling's movie with Cary Grant, Gunga Din.
Yeah.
When you go watch the movie Gunga Din with Cary Grant, you will see so many fucking scenes taken right out of it, put in this movie.
Yeah.
And it's same period, same villains, and they even have a bridge scene. Just saying, there's a bridge scene.
This is one of many properties that you could say the same thing. I mean, they sold Buffy comics for years after the series went off. Fans enjoyed it. You even had
this goes to what you and I just talked about too, and I really want you to get into this, is that they have a built-in fan base.
Yes.
And they keep working contralaterally to it. Or just simply contrary to it. Not contralaterally, but just straight up contrary to it.
Contrarian. And that points gold star for Gary for using that word correctly in a sense.
Because instead of, we've got a fan base, it's like we can build on that, because that's what you want, right? You don't want to just keep the fan base. You want to grab that fan base and build on it. That's a goal. That is a goal to achieve. It's, oh, what the fuck? We lost access to Facebook.
Oh.
Huh. But anyway, you want that fan base. And they got fan bases for all this shit. Everybody's done it with Star Trek. They had a fan base. They alienated the fan base. And then nobody's watching their show. Somebody says, well, I like the shows. They were good.
It's great that you are.
And I'm like, if they were good, why didn't they have more people watching it? Why did they lose fans if it was so good?
Why did Picard season 3 be the only season of Picard that made it into the top 10?
Yep, there you go. The previous,
and that's the only Star Trek show to do that.
Was Jean-Pierre Lecard, is who that was, and just really bad stuff. There's Matt.
What's up, my friend?
Hey, buddy.
Hey,
how are we?
Pretty good.
There's the star.
So we're getting into the criticism, Matt, of how they keep grabbing these properties that have a built-in fan base
and destroying them,
and then working against it.
Yeah, it's weird, right?
It's worse than weird. It's bad. It's stupid. It goes against logic. I mean, it's against all marketing I was ever taught when I was trained in marketing.
Right.
It's what? Somebody says.
That's what I hear.
Yeah. Keith, you're really roboting.
Yeah.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah.
Keith, are you there?
Give you some Martian now.
We'll jump out and jump back in.
Okay. So basically, you've got these fan bases, Matt, that they buy these. Star Trek is the greatest example. I mean, you've got 50 years of fans.
Yep.
That are still, a lot of them still alive.
Yeah. Well, here we are. You and me.
You and me, example. Because
you guys.
I'm an original fan. I actually watched it while it was still on.
Well, you're older than me.
No shit, old. Matt. No shit.
And I'm old.
Yeah, thanks, dude.
I got it in that first round. I got it in the first round of reruns when I was very little. Because I was born in 70, and I think the rerun started 73 or something like that.
So exactly. And by the way,
was 75.
Was it? Okay.
I was thinking 75. Yeah,
but it was always on. My mom.
Yeah.
I remember my mom plopping my butt in front of the TV and having Mr. Spock babysit me for an hour a day. So
Yes. I was babysat by Star Trek and a lot of shows.
Yeah.
Bush is that tenacious pit bull that won't let go of bone. His bone is still James Bond, and he's getting into something that Keith and I have talked about ad nauseum. But I don't know if you've ever seen those episodes, because it was like a year ago, maybe a little over a year ago, where he and I dug into James Bond and said, look, man, Daniel Craig's Bond, that's not part of the timeline.
No, when they killed him, I had to like put him in an alternate time frame.
He is.
But I kind of do that with all
was.
James Bonds. Every time they change an actor for a James Bond, I just go, oh, now we're in a different universe.
It's not. It's all been because a lot of the other characters were the same actors.
Yeah.
So it's same universe. It's just new actor,
slightly different.
But basically, the big thing is with Daniel Craig, they relaunched the brand by going all the way back to the beginning. Yeah. But instead of following the books, they just kind of went off on their own little tangent.
Mm-hmm.
And it was part of the deal with Craig, because Craig's, look, he's a fucking pussy. I cannot stand that guy. He really is. And his take on James Bond is just fucking weird, and his personal perspective of who Bond is just weird. That's not James Bond. What Ian Fleming wrote was Bond. Yeah. And you got lucky to play the part, and you became such a big name that you were able to dictate how it got played. And that makes you kind of a douche in my book.
I feel like I've always gotten a little bit of crap in my world, and probably from this guy sitting over here next to me too. Mr. Kadish is right there. Where I've always considered Roger Moore my Bond.
He was my Bond.
Moonraker, Octopussy.
Yeah, he was my Bond. He was the one I grew up on.
He's my Bond. He's the one that had the most influence in my influential movie watching years.
Here's the problem: when you go back and watch Sean Connery, and then you see not Pierce Brosnan, what's his name? Timothy Dalton. His take. Yeah. Good, Keith's back. When you see Timothy Dalton's take on it, Timothy Dalton is the only actor to play James Bond that read all the books.
Right.
He went in saying, I want to play James Bond.
Sure.
From the book. He didn't want any of those. He would make cheeky comments, but it was never the quips that Roger was known for, because Roger is a cheeky actor. Sean Connery wasn't. He could do cheeky, but that wasn't his thing. What he was he was rugged. Daniel Craig brought the rugged back, but then he's a pussy, and he kind of ruined that. And so he lost.
They started deconstructing the characters. What the producers were doing.
It is. It's a deconstruction. It's just not good.
And it's an alternate universe Bond, as confirmed in what they did in the final film, by at least killing off two characters that aren't dead.
Yeah, Felix Leiter doesn't die in the books. Felix Leiter loses his leg.
Yeah.
To the shark, just like they showed in the movie with Timothy Dalton. And then later, his daughter takes up the mantle for the family, working with the CIA and working in league with Bond. So Bond, when he's older, got to work with Leiter's daughter as an operative. And they got along really well in the books. And I like the Gardner books. I think they're very well written. Gardner loved Ian Fleming. He loved Ian Fleming, and he took Bond to an older version. And in fact, there's a scene in that one that you and I talked about that is a repeat of what you see in the car wreck in Casino Royale, because it's different in there. In the original Casino Royale, that's plays out differently. In Gardner's book, that's how it happens, and I thought that was really neat, because it felt like they borrowed something from a later Bond book to put in that scene in Casino Royale with the car flipping over her.
Icebreaker is also, I think, the best of his books. That would make an incredible. You could make 2 movies out of that
easily. And you and I have talked about this, that they need to take the Gardner books and turn them into a mini series or an ongoing series. Like each season would be 1 book.
Oh, jeez. Oh, geez.
Because Gardner's shit is that good. So good. He's not Ian Fleming, but Ian Fleming was a little too cheeky in his own way. The naming Pussy Galore, come on. Gardner went around that and didn't do that shit. It's the limey humor, that Ian Fleming was expressing with Pussy Galore and other names like that. What was the other one? Octopussy. I mean, Jesus Christ, some of the names he came up with, the women. I did like the nod to him with Strawberry Fields. That was cute because that girl is a gorgeous actress that played Strawberry Fields.
You need to read the Gardner stuff. It is a
read the Gardner books. If you love Bond, read the Gardner books.
And start at the beginning. I have to admit, I didn't even know there were James Bond books until I was in my 20s.
You didn't know that they were based on books.
I didn't know. But that's okay. I still like the movies. They were still pretty cool.
Yeah, and by the way, there's a line. There's a throwaway line that pissed a lot of fans off in Casino Royale. That's right after the woman gets killed and M shows up at the beachfront condos and turns to Bond, calling him thug, a blunt weapon, and who's outlived their usefulness. So I'm like, he just got his 00. That makes no sense in your script. Makes no sense. You're talking to the old James Bond in that line. That line is bad.
Yeah.
And it's one of the scenes in the film I thought was stupid.
But you were talking about how they take these IPs though and turn them around, and then the studio starts shitting on the fans. I mean, is James Bond super guilty of doing that, or are we just like mad because they killed him?
Very much. No, not mad that they killed him. They needed to get rid of that Bond. It needed to be over because
I mean, I don't remember Bond, the Bond series, like literally attacking their fans though. Like what happens with these Disney movies and Star
even
Wars
Lucas wouldn't do that. Lucas, people forget how reviled he was over the prequels. That a lot of people attacked him. You had a documentary made, The People versus George Lucas.
Guilty, bro. Guilty. I hated those movies. I'm sorry. You guys, I can't curse here, can I? But
yeah, you can.
I can. Okay, well, I hated those fucking movies. The prequels are garbage, and I will stand on that hill until the day I die. But I never was hostile towards George. He just he needed some help cleaning those scripts up. He's not he's an idea guy.
Script writing would have been better with some better dialogue. 2, Metachlorians had to go away. It was unnecessary. He was trying to make it sci-fi, and it's like, stop it, George. It's fantasy. It's sci-fi fantasy. It's okay. We've accepted it that wizards exist.
Well, and the other thing is that they are on the road to making the fans the enemy, because for this next Bond series of films, they went ahead and just changed his character. If you haven't heard, that's
I'm not
the reason why
anymore.
People,
I stopped caring.
Yeah, the people that they are looking at for Bond, a lot of them seem more like Bond now than when they were trying to choose somebody when Craig was still there.
What Gary just said though was poignant, because that's how I feel. I don't care anymore.
Yep.
And to me, that is what is the worst part about all of these IPs out there. Star Trek, Star Wars, James Bond, all these superhero movies. These studios have taken these things and they've run them into the ground, and they've woke them up, and they've just turned them into big piles of shit, to where us old school
nobody
fans,
wants to watch.
Nobody wants to watch them anymore, and nobody cares. It's like, okay, you broke me. I'm going to just sit here on our YouTube channels, and we're going to talk mad shit about your terrible shows.
Well, David Zaslav broke me
sad.
in December.
It's very sad. Because
Keith remembers.
I never thought there would be a day. I never thought a day would come when I would sit here in this studio and tell my friends, I don't want to go watch this Flash movie because I don't care. I don't want to go watch this Indiana Jones movie because I just don't care.
We've come
Indiana
to a point,
Jones
Matt,
is dead 20 years ago.
What it is, Matt, is
sad.
that we are now, what's it called? It's called the flinch.
Mm-hmm.
We're now flinching. We flinch now because we've been burned or bitten, however you want to phrase it, too many times by these studios, that now we just rather just skip it.
Yeah.
It's like, what's the point? I was broken in December. Keith knows what broke me. It was Mikey Sutton broke me when he said they're all gone. Cavill, all of them. Yeah. And I'm like 1:00 in the morning going, what? what? And I stopped fucking caring. And right now, I don't care if The Flash is like the greatest thing ever.
No.
I'm not going to pay to watch it. I'm not going to go see it in the theater.
The biggest gimmick is their biggest gimmick on the marketing of The Flash.
Batman
is old ass Batman.
Yep.
From our generation. He's our Batman. And that's what they're trying to sell this thing with.
Yep. And then we start getting hints that he's not continuing. And I'm like, why the fuck are we watching this then?
Right.
What is the point for us to watch this if we're not going to get what we want from this?
Well,
and people go, well, that's really not why. It is why. It is why we watch things, because we want something. When you go in as an audience for this kind of filmmaking, you want something. You have a certain expectation. If it is not met, we just walk away going,
we want the lore to be respected.
Yep.
You know, Keith, you guys were talking about Buffy earlier a bit, right?
Yep.
If they brought back Buffy and just did a bunch of race swaps and gender nonsense and made them all gay, nobody would watch it. But if they brought these characters back, if they brought Xander and Buffy back and Willow, and they all had their cameos, and they did a respectful passing of the torch and kept within the mythos of the series, and they made a cool story out of it, nobody would care. We would probably all be on board and go, okay, this is a respectful way to pass on the torch of a new show with new characters and move it forward. And we would all probably really enjoy it.
Well, yes.
You know what I mean? But they can't do that anymore. They can't do that with these shows anymore. And it's very frustrating. So I don't know. It is what it is, I guess, right?
Yep.
Well, I mean, again, this has been something that has been in the works, at least as far as executives working on different projects for almost 20 years. You've seen a lot of the stuff that's been happening behind the scenes with certain films being developed a certain way, and a lot of executives encroaching more and more into the creative side of things. Okay? You've seen it with CBS and how they've handled not just Star Trek, which is one thing, but I mean with everything that they've done in with Magnum PI. I'm surprised they haven't attempted it with Simon and Simon. You've seen this. You've seen the same thing with all of the stuff that they've done.
Let's Wokeify the
Star
A-Team.
Trek.
They kind of already did.
And some of, and a lot of it, in my opinion, isn't just the woke stuff. It's just the fact that a lot of these executives aren't as good as they like to think that they are. Yeah. Their ideas are not solid. These people have absolutely no idea what they are doing. They do not understand story. They do not understand that if you have a script and you change something in the script, that's going to have an effect on either things that you do leading up to that point and things that come after, which means that one change should be something that is tracked so that you don't have an uneven or odd place where people are watching it going, well, that didn't fit.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Now we've got 12 minutes left of the show. I want to get into this Superman and Lois shakeup because this upset seeing this because I like Dylan Walsh in particular as the grandfather, as General Lane. He is really one of he's a small part of the show, but he's one of my favorite characters on the show because he gives such a gravity to his scenes with the kids and how he has fought being the soldier to learn how to be an actual grandfather. And I like that transition of his character. And now we find out that because of the shakeup at Warner Brothers and the cutting of costs, cutting of budgets, and cutting shows loose from Berlanti, because they need to get rid of Berlanti. Berlanti's been an albatross on Warner Brothers' neck for a while. And what's funny is he can actually do well when he's not doing DC. I like some of his other stuff. But man, when he gets onto an IP that's already established, he has his own special way of fucking it up.
Well, it's about making him money. It really is. These changes are about putting more money in his pocket. And so,
which is something, by the way, Matt, Keith and I have talked about this previously, that a lot of these people really do consider these shows successful because they made money. That's what Berlanti thinks. That's what Kurtzman thinks. Is what JJ thinks. That their projects are successful because they got paid big bucks.
Yeah.
And what they don't look at is the loss to the studio or the network. They don't care about that. The success is from how much they made, right? And this is a flaw, a character flaw in them, which makes me say that I think they're not just terrible at their job. I think they're terrible people.
Or they're disconnected is really what they are. They are completely disconnected. And that's the other thing. Another thing that's happened over the last 20 years is that a lot of creatives have become completely disconnected from the fan base, even though technologically, we have technology to be able to talk to fans. That's what makes J. Michael Straczynski better than a majority of people. What he did with Babylon 5, what he and that cast and crew did in cultivating their fan base, in talking to them, in allowing fans to be able to talk to individual writers and cast members and everything as they were making the show, is still the gold standard for how to deal with fans today.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, I wholeheartedly agree with you. And so we see this shakeup, and I wanted Keith to explain why this shakeup is happening. It's not something out of the blue. This is something that's been occurring across the board since Zaslav took over.
Yes. This is a money thing, but also in doing that, I personally have been saying that this has been pushing the plan that they have been using for all of these shows on the CW. This has just pushed what was going to happen with Superman and Lois ahead, because this was eventually going to be how I thought the show would eventually end. You were going to start losing members eventually anyway, because the cost goes up. Every season of a show, if you continue to use the same sets, the money that you poured into it in its initial first season, you get to offset a lot of the cost. But the cost to the actors goes up every season. So eventually you're going to have to start losing people anyway.
Well, it's either by season or through the contract. And then when they renew contracts, that's why so many shows, like here's a prime example of what you're talking about, is News Radio. Okay. NBC had a hit with News Radio. Phil Hartman Gets Murdered is not why that show got canceled. The show got canceled because it was still high rated. It was getting more viewership than Third Rock from the Sun, which was the news show. It was the junior show. But what did NBC do? NBC put all the money for News Radio into Third Rock from the Sun, even though it had, I think it was under half the viewership of News Radio. The reason had nothing to do with popularity or change. It had everything to do with the fact that there was, after so many episodes, their contract was to go up. Their pay was to go up. Every actor gets paid more. And the network decided they would rather put the money behind a new show than put the money in a proven hit. It had nothing to do with Phil Hartman being murdered. It had everything to do with contracts.
And that's every show. That's every show. Every show in history has to deal with that. Whether it's Lost or Battlestar Galactica or even Big Bang Theory.
Friends went through it. There were times when Friends looked like it might be ending because of contracts, negotiations.
They have the buddy account thing, right? Where they all got the same contract. So
there's a lot of shows that do that, but I mean, it doesn't keep it from being less expensive.
And that's what they look at, that each season their amount goes up. Each actor's amount goes up. And they begin to process it. The studio goes, or the network in this case.
Well, listen, I'm not going on any show where Gary makes more money than me. So that's just not going to happen.
Well, I make nothing, so we're good.
Okay, well, perfect. We make the same.
I think ultimately for a show like this, there was definitely going to come a point where you were going to lose a lot of people. It's just in the order that you're going to lose those people. If I were to venture a guess, I think some of the first people that would have been gone would have been things like Lana's ex, You would have lost things like oh man, you would have lost what's his name? Can't remember the character.
Getting old sucks.
Yeah, Steel. Okay, Steel. You would have lost his daughter because she's not a real character within the concepts within the comics.
Yeah,
in the comics, she's
the way they're doing Steel is wrong. You and I have complained about this. Like, Steel is one of our favorite characters. I don't know how you guys feel about Steel. I fucking love that character. He's one of the most original characters that came about.
John Henry Irons,
because of the death of Superman. I loved what they did with that character. He's self-made, you know, and he came up with this idea of turning himself into a superhero with his armor.
He's like a cool black Lex Luthor minus the evil and the billions. So
yeah. And I was so excited back in the 90s when they made the first movie with Shaq, and then I'm like, I wonder if Shaq can act. And then I saw the movie like, Shaq cannot act. That was terrible. It was so bad. And I've been mad ever since. It's like, when are we going to get our version of Steel, which is the comic version?
Yeah, but Berlanti and his people don't care. They don't care about that.
Yeah, they don't care. They don't care. They turned him into, I don't know, the whole alternate universe version of him. And the version that's even in this universe was messed up. It's just like, I'm done. But look, I still like the show. I still like the writing. I still like all the characters, including his character. I love the family elements with Dylan Walsh as grandpa and everybody else in the family. I like the new kid playing Jonathan. My God. Or is he Cal? I forget which one he's playing. He looks like the other kid.
Yeah. They look like they could be related.
They came from the same womb is what they look like. The other kid kind of looked like him too, but he was blonde. This kid really nails it, and he's really good in the role. But now what they're going to do, the big shakeup is they're going back to Metropolis. And so you're going to lose half your cast, including your background characters.
I wish I watched the show to be able so I could comment, but I don't. So
well, I will tell you, you got to circle around and watch it because it's really pretty good. It's proof that Berlanti, if he sits back and shuts his fucking mouth, can put out some good TV. Lets people do their fucking jobs, right? Because he's done it on other shows. Why can't he do it here? He's always opening his fucking mouth. When he said that DC is a platform for his political agenda, he fucking lost me completely.
Yeah. So
I had already had problems with him because I said,
Gail
I don't
Simone?
think he's Gail Simone too. Yeah, same thing. People who think that that their job is to be activists. And
with other people's ideas, you could take other people's original ideas and use those to basically say whatever you want them to say. And in my opinion, you should do that with your own creations and not with someone else's.
I agree wholeheartedly with that.
I am pretty sure that
with other people's shit.
I'm pretty sure that with a lot of the people who feel a particular way with the Marvel films, you cannot tell me as you continue to repost things related to things that Stan Lee has said, you can't tell me that Jack would be okay with a lot of this.
No, he wouldn't. You know he wouldn't.
because Jack was the real deal. Nothing against Stan Lee.
I loved it when everybody started quoting him, punch a Nazi. It's like, I told one guy, I said, when he said that, he was actually being literal, right? Because he fought in combat. He was a combat soldier, fought the Nazis. And he, not to mention that, came from a group that were predominantly Jewish. Most of his friends were Jewish. I'm not sure if he was, but he came from, a Jewish neighborhood, mixture of Irish, Jewish. Jack Kirby was the shit, man. He really did fight Nazis. And so when you hear some kid today say that, it's like, shut up. You know what you're talking
Well, they don't know what Nazis are. So
yeah, exactly. Everybody that doesn't agree with him is a Nazi in their books. I'm sure we're going to get ganked by YouTube.
Yahtzees need punched. There's no denying that, right? So
yep. But anyway, We'll wrap this up. It was a fun episode. I enjoyed it. Thanks for coming on, Matt. We appreciate it, man.
Thanks for giving me 5 minutes. It's all good.
Oh man, we love you, dude. Yeah. I love you. You're a friend of mine. And you and I were talking about some other more serious stuff before the show, and we'll probably talk about it some more afterward because the landscape's changing. And I'm so grateful right now that Keith is back at the helm, working with me here. That I feel relieved right now. And by the way, I figured out your audio problem, Keith. You notice he's not roboting anymore.
He's muted. Yeah.
No. His audio problem was that in his settings, his mic settings were set too high.
Oh.
And I turned it down and then hit auto.
Listen, control. Man, for old guys like us, when I'm setting my mic up and there's like 15 different options, I've got no idea what I'm doing. It's ridiculous. I just kind of push one and can you hear me now? Can you hear me now? Can you hear me now? So yeah,
there you go.
I understand.
Boomers, man. Yeah. We're boomers. Even though we're not, we're
Gen Xers, right?
We're all Gen X. All 5 of us are Gen X. And someone said I was a boomer because I was born in '64. I said no, I wasn't born to war parents. I was born to the same kind of parents you had.
We all actually played outside when we were kids, so.
Because they don't understand that there's a gray area between 1963 through 67. That's a gray area. There are boomers in there too, all the way up to 67. But I was born to what would be the parents that were boozing it up and doing drugs in the 60s, and that's what my parents were.
Technically, I was born to war parents because my dad was a Vietnam vet. So
no, different war, World War II.
Yeah, I know. World War II. Yeah,
World War II. Very specific to being a boomer. But
my parents are boomers.
Yeah, my parents were boomers.
Yeah, don't call me a boomer.
We have Mrs. A here. I guess I'm going to say hi and thanks to everybody that saw the show today. I want to thank KGRA's audience. You guys are great. We are going to figure out a way for you to call in. If I have to do it myself with a separate mobile phone and put it on the microphone so everybody can hear you. I'll call in to the show through KGRA. Plus, I want to thank everybody through our YouTube channel. That includes Scribe Light, Anima Confusa, Love of My Life, which is still beyond Matt. Matt and Kadish and all of them are like, how in the fuck did she fall in love with that dick? I don't get it.
I don't get it either.
Yeah.
He's such a jerk. Anyway, Dragon Ruse, Penny, T-shirted Historian was here. Farnsworth, Shinatsky was here. Boosh McFadden, Andy Morrow, Lord Thoth, all hail Lord Thoth, Dadman Walking, Mr. Tickle Trunk, Lady V Elements, Socks Bulletins, Mrs. A, Danny Pearson, Pops, the Peter Vinkman fan site, also known as Vinkman's Girl, Arkmage Frey, Short Attention Span Theater, Zax was here. I got to play the video. If Zax is here, I got to play the video. It's a rule.
Hey, fuck you, Kyle.
Because Zax is running, if you didn't know that. And, Shady Kills? Is that what this says?
Shady Mile Kentucky Bourbon.
Oh, Shady Mile. Oh. Is it good?
It's real good.
All right. Adam Leader, the Comic Relief Crusader, our good friend Mike, and of course Parrot Head, who is probably, if not the first, the second funniest person in all of our groups that posts meme after meme after meme meant to fuck with us and make us laugh. I like that. It's like he is an agent of cheer. Whether he likes it or not. And of course, Cam is here. Love Cam. Donnie Pearson. Good to see you. Anybody else? Did I forget anybody? Martin, did you forget to add anybody?
Monkey Jeebus just arrived.
Monkey Jeebus is, so it's, we don't have War Monkey here, so it's not a House of Monkeys, but we got Monkey Jeebus. And thank you. Come again. I have a caveat about generations. What was that? Hold on. A very serious caveat. If your parents were born in 1950 and my parents were born in 1950 and you're 60 and now I'm 40 now, are we the same generation? Yes, you are. You're from the same group. You may have been born, because if you're in your 40s, you're a part. That's technically you're a Gen Xer. The Gen Xer goes all the way through the 80s, and then towards the end of the 80s, Early 90s is my daughter's group, which is, what is it called? Millennials? Is that it?
I think
that's it.
Yeah, millennials. Yeah, because if you're born like 80 to 85, you're called a Xennial, which is
actually I don't
Generation X and Millennial.
What, Matt?
I said I just did some math, and I don't think my dad is a boomer. He was born in 1938. He just turned 85.
Yeah, if your parents were born in the mid 30s,
that just makes me feel older.
40, they weren't old enough for World War II, so you're not a boomer.
Yeah.
Your parents had to be adults during World War II. My dad was a child during World War II.
Yeah, my mom
he was too young for Korean War.
So she was a kid. 1943. So
yeah,
interesting.
So, but I want to thank everybody for being here. Appreciate the chat. I got to tell you, sometimes, man, I look over at the chat and I'm like, what the fuck are they talking about? It's not related to anything we're talking about. But you know what? I love it. You guys are talking to each other. I like that. It's what it's all about. But anyway, that's the end of the show, guys. I want to thank everybody for being here. Matt, thanks for dropping in, dude. I appreciate it. Keith, are you back yet? Is his mic on? No, it's not on. It is off. Thank you, Keith, for being here today. Thank you, Martin, for being here. I'm not going to thank you for being the right side of my brain today because this has been a bad day for you, Martin.
You can say that twice.
It's like, oh my God, Martin, what the fuck? He couldn't get anything right today. It was funny. I mean, normally it might annoy me. It didn't annoy me. It really tickled me that, like, our producer's not here today. Bill wasn't able to do here because he's off doing, what is it? A paranormal
investigation
through KGRA. Produce our show today.
Is he looking for those? Is he looking for the 8-foot tall aliens in the backyard?
I really don't know what he's doing. Do you guys know what he's doing? No idea. We'll find out about it when he gets back.
Yeah.
There's these 8-foot tall dudes with big eyes and big mouths in my backyard.
Oh, dude, I got to tell you something about Vegas before we go. When your news, because you're in Vegas, when your news said, we've been sitting on this story, investigating for 3 weeks, first words out of my mouth out loud was bullshit. That's bullshit.
I've lived here for 12 years, and every night I look up in the sky for something weird. I haven't seen it yet, and I'm kind of pissed off about it.
The one night you didn't look up, it happens.
Yeah.
Sometimes you just got to ask, is it me?
Did I do something?
Come take me. Come
Is
take
it my
me
smell?
now.
Do I have BO?
Like, I've had enough. Take me to your zoo. I'll be your specimen. It's fine.
Exactly. All right, guys, we're out of here. We don't forget tomorrow. I'll play the video real quick before we go. I know we're delaying the ending, but once again, tomorrow Tom and I do Batman 89.
Stop the press. Who was that?
Join Pop Culture Minefield this Saturday as Tom and Jerry do Batman 89. Join us the same bat time, same bat channel.
There you go. See you guys tomorrow. Everybody have a great Friday. Don't drink and drive. All right, bye, guys.
Those sons of bitches.
Ma, I'm doing a show.